So, you want to buy a property in 2026, but you don't know exactly where to start. I'm here to help. 2026 might actually present you with the best opportunity in the property market yet. If you're a young professional and you want to buy your first property, it is important that you take heed to this advice or forever be in demise. In 2025, from the beginning of the year, the interest rate has dropped 4 times. Now, this is significant because the Reserve Bank of South Africa has been so gracious to us and has given us the opportunity to further participate in the economy come this time. We moved from 11.75 of a prime lending rate to now at current sitting at 10.75. If you're a young professional, you can have access to reduced options of your interest rate if you can prove that you have a degree from any institution and that you have employment and that you're under the age of 30. You can open a young professional's bank account and have access to some interest rate benefits. So, what are the other things that you need to look at when looking for property? Well, of course, you start on Property 24 and you idealize your ideal dream apartment. You say, I want a 2-bedroom apartment in a nice, safe location, and it must have all these nice features. It must have a shower, it must have a nice kitchen, and it must have a Wi-Fi connectability and some DSTV connectability. Of course, those things are important, but what's the most important thing? Buy an apartment that serves your functions. Meaning, you do not buy an apartment that fits the luxury motif that is currently trending. You buy a property that fits your pocket and that serves your needs. So why am I saying this? You are supposed to be thinking about your property in terms of investment, even if you decide to stay in it for some time to check it out, feel it out, but you should buy it with investment in mind. This is important because that means you can't say, if I'm buying for function, just buy a 1-bedroom apartment and call it a day. It might be that a 1-bedroom apartment might close you out of the market of renting to people who want 2-bedroom apartments, who are willing to splurge and live in, open spaces that have more rooms. So you need to think futuristically if you want to have a good foundation in terms of your investment portfolio in property. So what am I saying to us? Look at locations in Gauteng. You'll see that your northern suburbs are more pricey. For the same 2-bedroom apartment, you're paying north of 800K if you're lucky. That's the minimum, and obviously it can go up to 1.2, 1.5 in the Sandton area. But for the same quality, you can look at suburbs that are more on the outskirts of that concentrated business district of Sandton, Midrand. You could look at places such as Boksburg, which have properties that are sitting around an average of 650 or 700 for a 2-bedroom apartment. You could look at areas down south in the Alberton areas sitting at about 600 to also 650. You can get decent, properly amenitized accommodation that you can start with and grow. And the most important thing is to note that areas where the property prices are now at this level have the potential of increasing in future. So you're also looking at that investment inflection opportunity to say how far will my properties increase towards if I buy them now. So that's just a quick advice. Now, the other thing to note is that you should negotiate. Do not take the first price at face value. If you're buying into a new development, you should negotiate. If you're buying an apartment that somebody else has lived in before, you should negotiate. Make sure you negotiate every step of the way. Why this is important? It's because properties are not necessarily charged at the valuation that they are at the municipality, meaning you'll go to the municipality and the municipality will tell you, well, we valued that property at this price, but it was sold to you at this price, obviously because the property agent and the company are trying to make a profit. So make sure that if you want to reduce how much you pay, you negotiate and tell them that you want to see how much the property has been valued at from the municipality, because most often than not, the valuation from the municipality will be lower than what they are charging you. Be that as it may, settle on a price that you are comfortable with paying. The other thing is that you need to know what future purpose your property is going to serve now. So even if you live in it for a year or two because you're still an intern somewhere working at one of these top companies, you need to be able to see that you're able to leave your place, put a tenant there, and keep life moving. Or you leave your place, make it into an Airbnb, and push life. Because the common argument about property has been that you need to guard your property jealously and stay with it until your days are over. That is not the truth. If you buy a property, I believe your life is more flexible. If you have the capacity to buy a property, you will not feel tied to your property, because at any moment you can make sure you get a tenant, and that tenant will continue paying you even if you move to Canada. So it doesn't matter that you're buying a property or you're renting. Renting, yes, gives you the freedom and the latitude to move every time your contract expires. You can move mid-contract, but you're going to pay a hefty price. So which one really has the most flexibility? Because I could move out of a bonded property in June, in the middle of the year, and give it over to a tenant. However, somebody who's renting a place with a contract of a year in June will pay a hefty fine to move out of that property. So I still maintain that buying your first property early is a good foundation to set yourself up for a great investment trajectory over your lifetime. So, should you buy a property alone and when you're young? Yes. But do me a favor. Make sure that you do the right thing. Those who know, they know. Why am I saying this? Some people buy their property with their cohabiting partners. Now, this is dangerous because you have not formally decided that this person is going to be your lifelong partner. So if you sign them up as surety on your property to help you pay a Santon 1.5 property because both your salaries can make it, just barely can make it. Maybe your 25, their 25 can make a good amount, for the bank to approve a 1.5 million 2-bedroom apartment in Santon. It's not ideal, because you might end up in a situation where you fall out of love, and now you have to bear the brunt of that property alone if you're the man, because I don't know too many women who would want to bear that price. Number two, if you are still single and you then buy your property, make sure that when you do your whole lobola things at the time that is appropriate, you sign proper contracts. Yeah, you sign proper contracts, because you would have bought your property before marriage and not after. Make sure you sign proper contracts. And also, if you intend to use your properties as business vehicles in future, make sure you sign proper contracts. I'm just laying the ground here. I haven't gotten into the other nitty-gritties around property, but I'm just addressing my young working class people. I've been working for about 2 years now, and I would say it's looking good on the property buying space, because since I've bought a property, it's been a nice interest rate downward trajectory, obviously with the added benefit that I'm a young professional. So I'm saying to you, if there was ever a good time to think about buying a property instead of renting come 2026, it would be a very good time to start doing that. And obviously, every side of the coin has its risks and its opportunities. So make sure you assess those for yourself, so that you're not in a tight spot, and make sure that you budget your finances accordingly so that you can maneuver, even if things get tight. So you would probably want to make sure that you consult a financial advisor to take you through the journey. You can consult one through your bank or an independent financial advisor should you need. This video does not constitute financial advice. Please make sure that if you want financial advice, you talk to someone who's registered and certified by the FSCA. It's been Kahana Sidupane. Cheers.